Oh, sure. Know what you want to say. This is similar to knowing your goal. What are your key message points? I didn't talk about this very much, but an important element of prepping, particularly a CEO or a top-level executive for an interview, is giving them a few key messages about your company or about your product or about your service that you want to make sure, no matter what, they say to the journalist before the interview is done. So maybe it's that you are the very first love radio program or practice to ever come to market. Maybe it's the fact that you are publishing healthcare content that is different than any other healthcare media outlet. What is it that's different or unique about your company? Write down 3 very simple messages and make sure that whatever your executive does, they talk through those messages on their interview. The fourth point goes back to having a Q&A in advance of the interview. Jot down the questions that you think a reporter will ask, the very worst and the easiest, and make sure that you've talked through what your answers will be and prepare a range of questions, hard and easy. That's during the preparation period. Now, the interview itself. Interview tips. How do you make an interview most exciting, most compelling? Speak in headlines. Don't ramble, go on and on and on. Think about what your headline would be. Pampers launches first ever diaper that absorbs baby stuff. I don't know. That was really bad, But think about what your headline is and try to talk in terms of a headline, the conclusion to the point, and then you back around to demonstrate why that is the conclusion. Don't over-answer. Short answers are the best. People understand most with short answers. Don't be fixated by the question. If a reporter asks a question that seems difficult or that is different than what you were hoping they'd ask, don't worry about it. Give a simple answer. Laugh it off. Say, I don't know. I had a press interview yesterday with a Bulgarian journalist from Week magazine, and she asked me for a figure. She asked me for a number. What is the amount of money being spent in the U.S. on advertising versus the amount of money being spent in the U.S. on public relations? I have no idea. I'm not going to make it up. I'm not going to talk just to listen to myself talk. I said to her, I can't answer. I don't know the answer, and I don't want to give you bad information. If this is an important question, I will find the answer, and I will come back to you and let you know. And that's what I did. I went to my hotel room last night. I went on Google. I looked up the information, and I emailed it to her this morning. So my point is, don't be overly fixated on the answer, on the question. If you don't know it, it's okay to say, I don't know. We're all human. Next, yeah. Oh, goodness. If only I remembered it. I can look on my BlackBerry and tell you after this. I don't remember. A lot more money is being spent on advertising than PR. Considerably more money on advertising than PR. But a point that I made to this journalist is that I think that there will be a trend, particularly as the economy gets worse, assuming the economy gets worse, that there will be 2 things that we'll see with communication spending. Number one is that it will shrink because marketers will see advertising and PR as a way to cut budgets. And it's unfortunate because now is a more important time than ever to be spending money on communication because the consumer is going to be more conscious of how they spend their money. So you want to remind the consumer about the importance of your brand or your product. So now is the most important time to spend money on communications, and yet I think the first trend we'll see is that there will be cutbacks in reductions in spending on advertising, PR, promotions, branding, everything. The second thing is I do think that money will migrate from advertising to PR, particularly in tough economic times, and here's why. I think there will always be money spent on advertising. Advertising isn't going away, and that's a good thing. Most companies need advertising. PR, as I said in my presentation this morning, is a very cost-effective solution. If it costs 450,000 leva to buy an ad in the Wall Street Journal, and it costs nothing to place a story in the Wall Street Journal, other than the labor of your publicist versus the labor of your ad agency, and you don't have production dollars to spend, and you don't have media buying dollars to spend, and you don't have all of this other money, then I just think I'm foreseeing that there will be a migration of dollars from advertising to PR. So I didn't answer your question. I don't remember the exact numbers, but